Russia is now producing artillery ammunition faster than almost any country in modern history. By some estimates, Russian factories turned out roughly 7 million artillery, mortar, tank, and rocket rounds in 2025 alone. More shells in 3 months than the entire NATO alliance manages in a year, according to NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. On paper, that should mean Russian guns can fire without limit, burying Ukrainian positions under an endless wall of steel. And yet, along stretches of the front, Russian batteries are firing less accurately, less reliably, and in some documented cases, exploding before the shell even leaves the barrel. The problem was never the shells. The problem is what's supposed to fire them. Here's the paradox at the center of this story. Russia has more ammunition sitting in depots right now than at almost any point since the invasion began, and that ammunition is becoming less and less useful because the guns needed to fire it are wearing out faster than Russia can replace them. A modern howitzer barrel is rated for somewhere between 2,000 and 6,000 shots before the steel inside degrades to the point that accuracy collapses and the risk of a catastrophic breech explosion rises sharply. In the most heavily contested sectors of the front, Russian gunners are reportedly burning through that lifespan in a matter of months, not years. So while the ammunition graphs point up and to the right, the number of barrels capable of safely firing that ammunition is doing something closer to the opposite. Let's do the arithmetic Russia doesn't want published. A 2026 Estonian intelligence estimate breaks the 2025 total down to roughly 3.4 million howitzer shells, 2.3 million mortar rounds, 800,000 tank and infantry fighting vehicle rounds, and 500,000 rockets. Effective output, not maximum installed capacity, which analysts believe could run 10 to 20% higher on paper. Add in the millions of shells imported from North Korea and Iran since 2023, cumulatively somewhere between 5 and 7 million rounds by Ukrainian intelligence estimates, though those North Korean deliveries reportedly fell by more than half in late 2025 as Pyongyang's own reserves thinned. Stack all of that against an estimated Russian daily expenditure of somewhere between 10 and 15,000 rounds, and the picture looks, at first glance, like total dominance. But according to the Modern War Institute at West Point, roughly 2,000 Russian howitzers are strung along the front, meaning even a conservative 10,000 rounds a day works out to only about 5 rounds per gun per day on average. That's not overwhelming firepower. That's a fleet of guns being run into the ground one shell at a time. And it means the real ceiling on Russian firepower was never the shell count in the warehouse. It was always the physical hardware standing between that warehouse and the battlefield. And that's where the real story lives, not in the shell count, but in the barrels underneath it. According to Defense Express, only around 4 enterprises in Russia are equipped to produce artillery barrels at all, led by Plant No. 9 in Yekaterinburg and Titan Barakati in Volgograd, with Forbes reporting that before the war, just 2 of those plants, Motovelika in Perm and Barakati in Volgograd, handled the bulk of production between them. Making a barrel isn't like stamping out a shell casing. It requires precision forging equipment, much of it originally imported from Austria and Germany decades ago, and a lining of chromium that extends barrel life 2.5 to 3 times over. Russia mines some of that chromium domestically, but still has to import roughly 1.5 million tons a year, mostly from Kazakhstan, and even that imported chromium is reportedly of inferior quality compared to Western sources. The RUSI research group estimates that 63 to 65% of Russia's core barrel manufacturing machinery has already reached or is nearing the end of its operational life, and with Western equipment sanctioned off the table, Russia has increasingly turned to Chinese-made forging machines that RUSI describes as noticeably less precise and less reliable than the originals. In other words, the machines that make the guns are themselves running out of road. So how does Russia keep its artillery firing at all? By cannibalizing itself. Open-source analyst Richard Verreker estimates that Russia has already pulled barrels off roughly 4,800 old towed howitzers held in long-term storage, down from around 12,300 such guns in 2021, stripping Cold War-era guns down for parts to keep frontline self-propelled systems like the Koalitsiya-SV running. Picture a mechanic who can't buy new engines anymore, so he's slowly hollowing out an entire junkyard of old cars just to keep one running. That works for a while. It does not work forever, because the number of towed howitzers left in Russian storage to strip has been falling in exactly the same way the tank reserve has, and analysts increasingly point to 2026 as the crisis year when this particular cushion, along with Russia's stocks of tanks and infantry fighting vehicles, finally runs thin. Russia knew this problem was coming, which is why it built what was supposed to be the answer. The Koalitsiya-SV, a next-generation self-propelled howitzer unveiled with the kind of fanfare Russia usually reserves for its most advanced hardware. A new automated turret, a higher rate of fire, and, crucially, a barrel engineered for a longer service life than the aging 2S-19 Musta S it was meant to replace. It has been in development for well over a decade, and in the largest artillery war fought since the Second World War, the Koalitsiya-SV has barely appeared at scale. Production numbers remain small, deployment reports are sparse, and the same structural problems strangling barrel output for older systems apply just as hard to a more complex, more expensive new one. Just like the T-14 Armata sat out the tank war it was built for, Russia's most advanced gun has largely sat out the artillery war it was designed to dominate. Underneath all of this sit three compounding failures. The first is metallurgical. High-intensity firing generates enormous heat and pressure inside the barrel with every single shot, gradually eroding the steel and the chromium lining until the tolerances that keep a shell traveling straight and keep the explosion contained where it's supposed to be start to break down. The second is industrial, with only a handful of aging, foreign-dependent factories able to produce replacement barrels, and with those factories increasingly reliant on Chinese machinery that Rus describes as less precise than the Western equipment it replaced. Russia simply cannot manufacture barrels at anywhere near the rate its guns are consuming them. The third is exposure. Ukraine has directly targeted this weak point, including a documented fire at a Ural Transmash facility in Yekaterinburg tied to howitzer production, meaning the same handful of irreplaceable factories keeping this entire system alive are also sitting in the crosshairs. If you want to understand exactly how thin Russia's margins have become across its entire military-industrial base, this is the kind of story we track every day here on The Military Show. So subscribe if you want the numbers before they hit the headlines, because the barrel story and the tank story are, underneath the surface, the exact same story. And that's the part that should worry the Kremlin most. Russia's own defense budget can't support this pace indefinitely either. Some estimates suggest that at current trajectories, sustaining this rate of shell production would eventually require spending over a fifth of the entire Russian defense budget on munitions alone, compared to roughly 2.6% before the war. Combine an unsustainable financial burden with a barrel manufacturing base that's 63 to 65% obsolete, a towed howitzer scrapyard running low on donor guns, a flagship replacement system that still can't reach the front in numbers, and declining ammunition imports from North Korea, and you get a military that looks, from a distance, like it's drowning the battlefield in steel, while up close it's quietly running out of the one piece of hardware that steel actually needs to matter. So the next time you see a graph showing Russia's shell production climbing into the millions, remember what that graph doesn't show you: the guns. Because in modern artillery warfare, ammunition without a working barrel isn't firepower. It's just a warehouse full of very expensive, very useless steel. And Russia is running out of the machines that turn one into the other faster than almost anyone in Moscow wants to admit. To see how the exact same math is playing out with Russia's tank reserves, watch our video on that next, and subscribe to The Military Show for daily coverage of the numbers behind the war.